Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user GladPrize5340. Am I the a-hole if I asked my sister to leave my house since she refuses to watch my kids? A little background story. I, 27 female, married my husband, 32 male, have 2 kids, 11 female and 2 male. 2 years ago, I asked my sister, who was 20 at the time and she will turn 22 in a month, to come live with us and help out with the kids as I needed. She was in an abusive relationship. She needed a place to stay. At first, it was for her to get back on her feet since she's getting out of the situation. The initial thing was that we will pay her $200 a week to watch our 4-month-old at the time, Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. till 2 p.m., and she could use my car anytime she needed to, and if she wanted an afternoon job, that was totally fine. She happily accepted. A month had passed, and she told me she's getting depressed, being inside every day, she can't do this anymore. I told her that's okay, her mental health is very important, but she should be able to watch the kids when we need her to, like date night, etc. So we found someone else to watch our kids during the days. Fast forward 2 years later, she works full-time, doesn't pay any bills, doesn't help around the house, not even washing the dishes or take out the trash or cook dinner or even buy groceries or things the house needs. Like, no help at all. Last week, my husband and I went out for a bit. Mind you, we asked her the weekend before if she could watch the kids and she said yes. Within an hour of us being out, my husband and I received this message from her.
I just want to say this to get this off my chest. This isn't an attack and this isn't me being ungrateful. I just want you guys to try to consider my point of view. And my point of view is that I don't appreciate being used as a service whenever it's convenient for y'all. I understand this is all I'm good for, but there are some days where I don't want to come home after a 9-hour shift and watch a baby. I didn't decide to have children, you guys did, and the only person who ever appreciates me for it and only thanks me for it, it is my husband. So it has been building up inside me and causing resentment that my own sister will refuse to recognize my accomplishments because it's what I'm supposed to do. I appreciate staying here rent-free and I've appreciated the opportunity being given to me, but I don't feel like I should dedicate my life to you guys. It's like now I'm being asked to watch the kids, like it's already a given that it is not something I can ever say no to, because when I do say no, I'm treated like Voldemort. It feels like an obligation when it should feel like a choice. I felt like the time frame should have been more discussed because I was under the impression I was watching him until 6:30, not 9:30. Thank you for taking the time to read this again. I'm not attacking. I just want to ask for more clarity.
At this point, that is all she's good for, watching the kids for us for a few hours once or twice a week. And the accomplishment she's referring to is getting her high school diploma at the age of 21 because she dropped out of school a few months before graduating. She still uses my car when needed to go to her boyfriend's house or work. At this point, I am fed up and just can't take it anymore. My husband tells me she is my sister and I need to handle it, and he is tired of taking care of a grown adult. So, would I be the a-hole if I ask her to leave my house since she refuses to watch the kids when needed? I know that is long, but feel free to ask any questions. Well, Opie, I gotta say, no, I don't think you're the a-hole. She's been living with you guys rent-free. She has a job, but she contributes to nothing. The least she could do is be a part of the household. She calls your house her home, but she contributes nothing. So if she doesn't want to watch the kids, that's fine, but she should at least be giving you guys some money for utilities or paying you guys rent or buying groceries or something. She calls it a home, she should contribute. If not, she can go stay somewhere else. She has a full-time job. Can't she pay for her own place? And also that whole spiel about this is all I'm good for. Honestly, this is a personal thing for me. Whenever somebody starts with the victim-y, self-deprecating kind of crap, I honestly lose respect for that person. Self-deprecation is funny when it's in jokes, but it's not something that's admirable at all. But that's just me being a grumpy cynic a-hole. Anyways, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Koi Fishy Fishy says, not the a-hole. Quote, it sounds like this arrangement is no longer working for everyone involved and it's time for you to find other housing. End quote. Living rent-free for 2 years while she works full-time means she should have some savings. If she doesn't, that's on her. Give her a written notice to vacate with the number of days required by state and or local law, since she is considered a tenant. Talk to Me 0701 says, not the a-hole. She says it's a given she'll watch the kids even though you hired a nanny so she wouldn't have to watch the kids. She has enjoyed your largesse for long enough. Just don't frame it as a punishment. Tell her you're glad you were there for her when she needed it, and after thinking about her text, you can't have her feeling used. You'd like to give her 2 months to find her own place unless she'd like to leave immediately. Put it in writing and don't back down. Don't go back and forth over what was agreed and whether or not you're angry. She doesn't deserve your energy. She's an ungrateful ass who has started to not just take it for granted, but is trying to drive a wedge between you and your husband. Only he thanks me. No, this will not do, OP. She is a drain on your resources, both emotional and financial. Let her go somewhere. She'll get the appreciation she thinks she deserves. XX Mimics X2 says, not the a-hole. The deal was her helping with childcare. She changed the terms. She did not contribute at all in these years, and you asked her a week beforehand if she was able to babysit. I would tell her that she can either now start paying rent and bills and groceries and do household tasks, which she didn't do all those years, or she can go and find other living arrangements, as this is not working anymore. She can't expect all the benefits without giving anything back. And Limp Paint 7244 says, text her back. The deal was you would watch the kids from 6:30 to 2, 5 days a week in return for room and board and $200 a week. You stopped watching them all day, which we respected because it was a lot of work. So instead of 7.5 hours of child watching time, we accepted you to do occasional sitting for us instead. Since you no longer like that arrangement, that is just fine. A room in our area goes for $800 a month or whatever, but start there because that's what it probably is. We expect you to pay $800 a month now. Pay for your own groceries. Pay for half the electric and water payments. And of course, since you don't want to be ungrateful, you will of course begin doing all the chores. Since you have done none of them for the past 2 years, you have lived here rent-free. We will expect you to do the dishes, dust, vacuum, mop, clean the bathrooms. Everything except our laundry, of course. We will now have a roommate situation since you cannot bother to do the bare minimum. You can pay for that stuff instead, or you can move out. Well, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and that the sister can either start paying her own way or move out. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Thank you everyone for your inputs. That definitely helped me make the right decision for my family. Like many of you suggested, I did sit her down and I did apologize for not showing any appreciations and the fact that she felt used. And I also pointed out that her watching the kids once or twice a week, it was never last minute, is her only way of contributing to the house. And of course, like many of you predicted, she started yelling that I'm attacking her and that I only took her out of the situation she was in to benefit me and not her. I did confirm that the previous agreement was something I thought would benefit both of us, not just me. I told her this new living arrangement is not working for anyone at this point, and since she doesn't want to watch the kids, she has 60 days to find better living arrangements. She stated she never said she didn't want to watch the kids, and I cut her off, stating that as her older sister, I don't want to ruin our relationship. I then told her it's best for her to find another place to live because her feeling appreciated or not being used, her mental health is very important and it does matter. I even apologized for treating her as my own child, like taking care of her, taking her to all our family vacations for free. I really thought I was helping her, but I now realize I was hurting her. And now she has a great opportunity to grow and live the life she wants to. She started crying and said that it wasn't her intention for things to get way out of hand. And I told her we can't go back. Everyone needs to move on. By the way, we live in San Diego, California. Minimum rent for 1 bedroom is $2,000. I wish her the best of luck. Thanks again, everyone. Alright, OP, good decision. First step is taken. Now, the next thing I would do is I would start sharing links to listings that she should look at for when she moves out, saying her you again wish her all the best. While at the same time, maybe consult with a lawyer or a friend who might know about this, about how to evict her if she wouldn't want to leave. Still, the right decision has been taken. So here's wishing you and your family the best, OP. Thanks so much for sharing and take care. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole? Would I be the A-hole public? And it's by user AppropriateC1877. Not sure if I should tell my husband that his child isn't biologically his child. Hey Reddit, I, 34 female, found myself in a pickle. My husband, 33 male, has a child. They are 10 years old. Recently, we were talking about blood types, and my husband let me know his child's blood type. My heart stopped because I know my husband's blood type, and I know there is no possible way, no matter the mom's blood type, that my husband could be the biological father. At first, I wasn't going to say anything because even though the bio mom is crazy, he loves his child. We both do. The child is 10. What difference does it even make? On the other hand, I'm not sure if that's something he has a right to know. I really am at a loss, so I turn to you guys. Should I tell him? Thank you. Sorry if formatting is weird. I don't really post on here, and if anyone has any questions, please let me know. Well, OP, in my opinion, he does have the right to know. Regardless of the outcome, he does have the right to know. Now, personally, considering you told us how much he loves the child, I don't think he's gonna disown the kid or kick him out or anything like that. He might be more angry with the crazy ex for lying, cheating, and all that crap, but not with the kid. But regardless of all that speculation, he does have the right to know, and you should tell him, because if he finds out that you knew and didn't say anything, then he will feel betrayed by you. So you need to tell him. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments. Bob says, it happens often that someone is mistaken or learned the wrong blood type. I thought mine was B- for years, and it's actually B+. Just saying, that's a possibility, so they should double check with a test before jumping to conclusions. Shep2105 says, before you tell him, unless you're a geneticist, ask one to make damn sure he can't be biologically related. Or hey, maybe your husband just thinks he knows the kid's blood type. What if he's wrong? And I don't think you're understanding the complexities of blood typing. For instance, a B mother and a B father can actually have an O child because of the alleles. Plus, what is mom's blood type? Fish Whisper 22 says, FYI, rare but possible, rare exceptions, cis AB blood type. In extreme rare circumstances, a genetic anomaly called cis AB can occur. In this case, the individual carries both A and B alleles on the same chromosome and in very specific situations could appear to have an AB blood type even if one parent is O, but this is a highly exceptional scenario. Bombay phenotype. Another rare blood type known as the Bombay phenotype can prevent the detection of A or B antigens. In this situation, a person might have an O blood type through standard testing, but still carry the genes to pass on A or B antigens, leading to an unexpected blood type in the child. Testing error or other biological factors. In some cases, an unexpected blood type result could be due to a testing error, a non-biological mother, or other rare biological variations. And Odd Yogurt Closet 313 says, I went to give blood one day. They told me my blood type was O negative. I was excited that I was a universal donor and had several conversations about it. Years later, I'm in the hospital for blood loss and need a transfusion. They ask me my type and I give it to them. They say, okay, we'll test just in case. They came back and said I had my blood type wrong. I'm B+. They said that's exactly why they test, because it's very common to have it wrong. I'm not sure why. OP's edit. I did change the ages a little bit, so if my husband came across this, it wasn't obvious. Also, he is O positive and the child is AB negative. You guys really gave me a lot to think about. I will send an update once I've decided and what the outcome was. Thank you for all your kind thoughts. Alright, well, the majority of the community is warning OP to get the blood types right and that these kind of things could happen even though very rare. Some people are telling her also that the husband does have the right to know. So, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. I want to thank everyone who sent kind words and really helpful advice. I got a few private messages from people also, and the point of views from people who have been through something similar was so helpful. So thank you for sharing your stories. Now to the update. Ultimately, I ended up getting into a conversation with my husband. I knew if he found out in the future, he would feel betrayed and have every right to. I let him know as gently as I could that the blood type combination between him and his child is not impossible but so incredibly rare, and how common mistyping blood can be. I shared some stories I read on here. It might be good just to get it rechecked if he wanted. Whatever he wants to do from here, I support him 100%. Some of you suspected he knew. You were right. Without getting into too much detail, the relationship and marriage he had with his child's mom was absolutely awful. She sort of lied that they had slept together after he had been drinking one night, even though he said he wasn't that drunk and remembers everything. Anyway, 2 weeks later, she said she was pregnant. They were well separated at this point, and he had filed for divorce shortly before this happened. Anyway, he wasn't involved in the pregnancy and had every intention of not being involved in anything further. He said when the baby was born, he just saw this beautiful little thing that was completely dependent. So he was terrified on what they would become if he went through with his plan. That leads us to where we are now. He apologized for not telling me sooner. He sort of assumed I would have already known with the history of him and his ex's relationship. I honestly had no clue. Looking back, he made comments here and there that now make sense, but at the time, I didn't read too much into it. He actually apologized for the predicament I was in the last week and a half, and he appreciated how tactful I was trying to relay the information. I wish he would have said something to me sooner, mainly to have avoided a situation like this. However, I am beyond relieved. I feel like I can breathe again and a weight has been lifted. I don't know what will happen from here or what will happen if the child ever finds out. I guess that will be a conversation for another time. Thank you. Well, P, I gotta say, your husband is a good man. He saw the baby and just couldn't leave it, regardless if it was his or not. He knew he had to do something for that baby and he stepped up. Not many people do, in their right of course, but your husband did. I'm sure that when the child is grown and finds out the truth, they might be sad for a few minutes or maybe a few days, but eventually they'll realize their father loves them. In any case, here's wishing you three the best in the future, OP. Thanks so much for sharing and take care. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliant, and it's by user ProFriendZoner. Supervisor told me sarcastically to call the fire department. I did. Worked in retail in between jobs way back when, early 90s. Yeah, I'm old. Get off my lawn. It was December, major department store that is no longer around. I know that doesn't narrow it down, sorry. Anyways, they tried to cram as much product on the floor as possible, to the point that you couldn't walk through the aisles and had to twist and turn to get past the fixtures set up with product. I casually mentioned to a supervisor that if the fire department ever came in, they would close us down for the hazards and lack of egress. She was highly stressed and blurted out to me, "You know what? Then call the fire department." I held my hands up and said, "Easy." She assigned me my duties and that was that. Well, she did tell me to call. On the way home, I stopped by a government building that had all sorts of agencies in it. Told the receptionist my plight and she pointed to a phone on the wall. Tell the operator I want the fire department and they would patch me through to the station's non-emergency line. The fire chief himself answered. I told him how crowded it was and what the supervisor said. He had a good laugh and said they'd check it out. I was off the next day but heard about it when I got back. Fire chief and a station house full of firefighters show up to do an inspection. He tells the store manager that egress is being blocked and he'd have to remove a lot of the fixtures in the aisles. Store manager says he has orders from corporate. Fixtures stay. Fire chief assures him he will win the argument. Store manager stands his ground. Fire chief says, "All right, boys, close them down." They evacuated the store, all 3 levels, and closed all entrances in December, prime Christmas shopping season. Although it wasn't a weekend day, it was during the week, but still. Store manager tried to protest, and suddenly the sheriff's department starts showing up. Long story short, they were closed for 5.5 hours while the chief, store managers, and employees rearranged the store to acceptable levels. The supervisor never treated me differently, so I'm guessing she didn't remember the conversation. Store manager surprisingly did not get fired by corporate, but corporate was not happy. About a week later, I'm working with the store manager and supervisor when she asks why we can't do something a certain way. The store manager replied, "The fire department won't allow that." And that was it. I worked there for a few more weeks before getting a job that almost got me killed in a workplace shooting, but that's a story for later. Well, OP, she did tell you to call the department, and you were just following orders. Thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.